you, Jane, for joining me here today. I am so grateful for the opportunity to talk with you about your experience inside the Anchored Abstinence Recipe Program. It's been a whirlwind of celebrations over the past few weeks and months with you, and it's really quite refreshing, and I feel really honored to be able to come through this with you and to be a part of this transformation that you've had. And I'm so incredibly grateful that you're willing to share your experience with other women who may be wondering, whether or not this is the right choice for them. Is it a good investment of their time and, of course, their finances as well to get on the other side of this problem? So thank you for
You're
joining
welcome. It's
me
my
here.
pleasure.
All right. So we're just going to dig right into. I've got some questions here for you, Jane, to help kind of open it up, the discussion up, and kind of dig into what your experience was like inside of the program. But I want to start with just a little bit of background for you, learning about where you were in your journey of life. Before coming into the program, so that all of our listeners have a really good understanding of what it takes to get to the point where you've decided that it's time for a change, and what you were experiencing, because I know it's going to resonate with a lot of women. So let's just start with a basic question, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, so what were you experiencing prior to joining the program? What was the habit like for you in terms of your drinking, and where were you emotionally and mentally on your journey?
So, I mean, my drinking was daily, and it was actually getting heavier. I felt like almost by the week. I wouldn't say day, but by the week, it was just getting heavier and heavier. I could remember starting off having like that one cocktail per day, and then eventually never thinking that much of it. And eventually that one cocktail became two cocktails. And then all of a sudden, I don't even remember this happening. It turned into me buying bottles of, my drink of choice was always vodka. I did have wine as well, but mostly it was vodka. The vodka was like my devil. And so I would buy bottles and I would hide them in the house and drink in secret. I was like a closet drinker. Or, in fact, I wasn't, because I was drinking in front of everyone, but nobody knew I was drinking vodka, which was the magic of vodka, because it looked like water. And there I was, glass after glass of vodka. Like I was going up to almost half a bottle of vodka per day. Like the bottle 750 ml, I was doing half a bottle of vodka per day. And, waking up in the middle of the night in a panic because I felt so awful about myself, and wondering like what I was doing to myself. And then I couldn't remember. I knew I made supper because that's when I would cook. I would drink while I was cooking. So I knew I made supper, and it must have been okay because everyone was healthy. But I never remember eating supper, and I don't remember conversations that I was having at supper, and I don't remember, anything. Like I would black out, but yet I appeared to be normal because nobody here at home questioned anything. So that kind of made it weird for me, because I was like, I can't remember things. I must have been acting strange somehow, but yet I guess I wasn't. I don't know. Nobody seemed to have noticed like the drinking. And the other thing too that I started having, I started realizing was really silly, because I was hiding these bottles and then I had to throw them out. And I couldn't just throw them in the bin over here, because then my secret would be exposed. And so I was finding places to throw my vodka bottles out. It was so weird. And, finding different liquor stores to buy my vodka at, because I was embarrassed to go to the same place all the time. So I would have to keep track of where I went. And a lot of stress, a whole lot of stress.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was.
And how did that leave you feeling mentally, aside from waking up in the middle of the night? And obviously, that's a highlight, and feeling a lot of anxiousness. Where were you at during the course of your day?
I was, I got to a point like that. Honestly, drinking was like, it took up so much of my thoughts, like the bad devil that was constantly in my head, and reminding me that, oh, I was out of vodka and I had to buy a bottle, and it made me feel. I felt a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of guilt because I was like killing myself slowly. I was dying I could have died a very slow death, because eventually it would all catch up to me. And so I felt guilty. I felt guilty that I was a liar. I felt guilty that I was not going to be there for my son when he got older, or I wasn't being honest with anyone, and not being honest with myself. Pretending that everything was okay when in fact I knew that it wasn't. And I felt awful. I think guilt is probably the strongest emotion that I felt, because I was being so dishonest. And I always wanted to be such an honest person.
Thank you. I know that's not easy, is it? Going through those cycles of those emotions, I'm sure were very, very trying.
It was awful, because it consumed me, and I felt like like an imposter, almost like a fake, like nobody knows me. My husband marries me and he doesn't know me. My son doesn't know me, because I'm like this, terrible person who just drinks and is lying. So it was not a fun place to be. It was not a fun place to be.
And how long do you think it was like at the level that it was for before we connected?
I think, oh my gosh, like to get to half a bottle, I think a good year, maybe. I remember when I bought that first bottle that I hid, and it was the small bottles. I could remember that and thinking, I'm just not satisfied with those 2 cocktails, but I can't let anyone see me drink more. And yeah, like it was just, yeah. So it was like over time, I think I started buying those bottles in secret, probably about, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. So that's a long time to be carrying around that kind of feeling.
Yeah. I didn't feel it at first. No, it just I started feeling that way about a year ago. And yeah.
Well, I can imagine how frustrating that must have been for you to be at that point. So tell me, what type of physical symptoms did you notice that you were feeling as a result of that? You had mentioned, waking up in the middle of the night. What other types of symptoms were you experiencing?
Well, definitely that foggy. I was very foggy all the time. I was sleep deprived too, right? I was drunk and sleep deprived. So I felt foggy. I got headaches. I think the worst symptom, though, was probably my stomach, because I already have this problem with my pancreas, which disturbs my digestive system. So drinking was just making me a complete mess. So I was and the occasional heartburn, but mostly my stomach, like my digestive system was a disaster.
Thank you. I know that's not easy. So when we first started to working together, what were some of your goals? What did you want to accomplish?
Well, I wanted obviously to stop drinking. And that was my first goal, to stop drinking. And I was so focused on that initially, like that was my goal, to stop drinking. And as things got better, I got other goals, I guess you can say. So like from not drinking anymore, I wanted to become healthier. I wanted to like myself, understand myself, like myself, exercise, because I've been so out of shape, because, well, drinking took up all my energy and all my time and everything, right? So I wanted to be also more in touch with my spiritual side, which used to be very important to me, and then all of a sudden it just vanished. So those were goals that I developed as things were getting better for me.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we do talk about that inside of the program, right? That taking alcohol out of the system is just the first change, then everything else seems to change along with that. So what, prior to us working together, were there any other avenues that you had investigated, other things that you tried, either for yourself or with other people or groups?
So I remember I had this like journal, and I decided this is going to be my day one where I'm going to start my stop drinking journal, and I'm going to write about how great it was to not drink. And then the next day I would be like, okay, well, I'm going to start this again tomorrow because I failed. This was not going so well. I tried apps. I tried a couple of stop drinking apps, or like quit drinking and whatever, or and those were equally as miserable as the journal. And that just, so every day I was like, okay, I'll start tomorrow. Oh, well, now I have a bottle, I need to have it for 2 days. Well, I guess I'll start in 2 days then. And it just never happened. But every time it didn't happen, I was becoming more and more desperate to want to stop. It was like this vicious circle, I was desperate. I just like, I have to stop this. And these apps are not working, and my journaling sucks. Nothing was going well.
Oh, I love your honesty there. Yeah, there's a lot of different approaches out there that are certainly significantly different than the Anchored Abstinence Recipe Program. And it's, a lot of women do try those and find that they're, may be able to work in one way or another, or open up that discussion for the possibility of changing what's happening for them, which is great, which is fantastic. But often similar to your experience when doing it on your own, specifically, is, has been shown to have poor results for a number of reasons: the lack of accountability, an improper structure and plan to follow, for sure. But the benefit of it is that you're acknowledging that there's possibility for change. And that's the empowering thing about those types of things. So I'm really grateful that you did experiment with those, right? And realize that on the right track, but not enough for what you needed. So thank you. That's fantastic. And did you have, I know you and I had a conversation before you joined. It was a rather long conversation. We dug pretty deep into finding out, how taking part in a program like this was going to affect things, particularly things in your household. We did talk about, the health and well-being of the other members in your family. Did you have any reservations or concerns about hiring someone like myself and my team to work with you?
I think my reservation was that I was afraid to fail. So it wasn't anything about the program itself. It was me, and I didn't want to fail. And I remember saying that to you in our first conversation, because I don't like to fail at things, like not thinking that drinking all the time was like a failure in itself. Like I kind of look at it that way now, and yeah, so I was afraid to fail. That was my one reservation that I had. I didn't want to start this and not succeed.
Do you recall, I know it's been a long time, but do you recall what about our conversation gave you that hope that this could possibly be your next best decision?
Well, I mean, I could remember that when I said to you that I was afraid of failing, I remember you said to me something along the lines of, like hearing, basically you heard quite a bit about my story, my life, and you kind of made me realize that I didn't seem like the person who normally fails. I was actually quite good at, once I put my mind to things, that I would finish them and accomplish them. And that kind of really made my eyes open, I guess. That kind of made me say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You don't even know me, and you know this better than I do. And that got me saying, okay, I'm going to do this.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm so glad that you decided that that was worth your investment, and that you knew that you could succeed with the right structure and the right plan. That's fantastic. Nervous? Were you nervous?
Oh my God, was I nervous? I was absolutely nervous. Yeah, for sure. But I was excited too at the same time. I was really excited because I really felt that this program appeared in my path. That's kind of the way I see it. It had literally appeared in my path. And I just had this good feeling about it, from the very beginning. I had a really good feeling about it. And so I was really excited. I was very nervous, of course, because I was wondering, like, how am I not going to drink? How does that happen? And so I was really nervous, but I was like really, really excited.
Fantastic. I'm glad that you had that experience. So what was the process? Let's dig into that a little bit. What was the process for you like? What did you like about it, or what didn't you like about it? What did you find the most helpful to get you to where you wanted to be?
So, unfortunately, I was never able to really make it to many of the calls, but I always, as much as possible. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but in
the group calls, the group coaching calls,
yeah, the coaching calls were amazing. Those were super helpful. I always felt so good after I got off the phone with you. The weekly calls, the ones that I would sometimes pop in, when I wasn't able to be there, because it happened always a bad time in the day for me, but I would view them, and I would get a lot from that as well. And the thing that I always found, and the Facebook group too, by the way, I always found it super encouraging to not be alone, even though I was kind of like reserved and whatever, but I felt like a normal person in a way, because I was not alone, and the things that I did it wasn't just me. It's kind of comforting to know that other women have experienced the same thing.
Yeah, that's definitely the benefit of being in a group of like-minded women with the same agenda, the same focus, going through the same process, and looking back and having a lot of grace for each other, right? And being able to say, oh yeah, I remember having those thoughts, or yeah, that I experienced that too. There's a lot of acceptance and self-compassion that can come from being in circles like that. That makes the world of difference for
oh my God, yeah, like no judgment, that's huge, to not feel like such I'm like a loser, like to feel I could say this, or I could think this, and not feel judged, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is the blessing in that. And the one-to-one calls, I know you and I had an abundance of one-to-one conversations. What were your favorite takeaways from those experiences?
I really every time I had a one-to-one call, I always felt I learned something. I always learned something new, even about myself. And sometimes just talking about how things have been, and then, you know, your feedback always made me feel like I always came out learning something new, or know even about myself. You know, like when you don't talk about things, it's like you can't really heal, or you know what I mean? So for me, I always felt encouraged. I felt I've got this. I'm doing well, and I'm learning things about myself. I'm not afraid to tell you about even bad experiences, um, and learning things. I always learn something new in these calls. It was so helpful.
Yeah, and you know, you raise a really good point, because it's not all roses. It's not all easy. It's not all just, you know, dot the I's and cross the T's and click the checkbox and we're all good. So what were some of your challenges that we needed to get a little creative on and come up with, you know, some additional strategies? I know, you know, we directed you to one of the counselors at one point, but was there something else too along the way that you found challenging, that you didn't expect, or something like that, and that you were able, you know, with some of the tools within the program to kind of work through them?
Yeah, well, so it took me a while to figure out sometimes dealing with stress. For sure, when I had the coaching, that was really helpful. Again, I learned about myself, and I find that, you know, in the end, really, it's all about your habits that you've had from when you were, you know, from a long time ago. And in this program, I find that I learned a lot about me, that and different ways to go about doing things. So like even when I was having personal problems here at home, where I was thinking that, you know, there was a trigger, and you gave me ideas and strategies on fixing it, or how to deal with it, and those were super helpful. So like it changed things a lot and made things better. And you know, like in the past, I always used to think, well, I'm gonna have that drink because this is how I deal with things. And whereas now it's like, yeah, no, there's so many other things that you can do to deal with problems. And the last one you want to do is have a drink, because then you're not dealing with anything. So I learned how to deal with my problems.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that, right? Usually that's the thing that brings us to the alcohol in the first place. So this is beautiful that, you know, we actually come back to the same issues and then start working through them, you know, in a lot of cases. And as you had mentioned, the answers are always within you. It just sometimes takes a mirror or a discussion to really hold those up and to dig into them and discover what is right for you, right? And I have to, you know, be grateful because you were so open to all of the possibilities and to having the discussions and to, you know, kind of turning over the stones. And when it got uncomfortable, we just dug a little deeper until we got down to the root of things, where we were able to really, you know, determine that, okay, you've got this, everything else is going, you know, beautifully. It's just a few of these issues that are coming up that they need to be addressed, right? And of course, that's when the holistic counselor came into the picture, and then you were able to come right back, and we navigated through the rest of the program. So I love that it was such a progression of your self-awareness and your willingness to be able to address the issues as they came up, rather than reverting to some of your past habits or ways of dealing with things. So you really are quite the rock star in this process of just keep moving forward and going with what feels really good to you. So thank you for doing that. Anything else you want to share around that, Jane?
Well, I mean, Yeah, well, no, I mean, I feel I rediscovered myself, where, you know, I used to be a musician. I used to dance. I used to do ballroom dancing. I've always been a very creative person. And sometimes, you know, music was that one thing that would just put me on this instant high without the help of any substances. and and I rediscovered myself. I started back, you know, listening to music. And remembering just how good it feels for me, and you know, exercising. But like, I downloaded a program, or I bought a program actually, which is a dance type of exercise program. So it brings me back to, you know, who I was like 10 years ago, let's say, or 11 years ago, where I just felt good all the time because I was happy with what I was doing.
I love that. That's big. That's immense progress, right? To be able to focus your energies and your passions on things that really light you up. So rather than dimming your light, you're actually fulfilling your light, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. And you had mentioned spirituality. If it's okay to talk a little bit about that, how did you notice that your connection with your spirituality changed over the course of the program?
So for, you know, it before, way before, I always say in my other life, I used to it's so, I don't know how to explain it really, but I used to have dreams. I used to have things that I would think that were happening. I guess you can say it was a bit of a connection. Maybe I would always think that they were angels. And then all of a sudden it stopped. All of that just went numb, quiet, and it's like out of no, like, what happened? I can't hear anything anymore. And I realized that I think alcohol was making me quiet. It was like making that part of whatever my spirituality. I was just like not receptive, maybe because I was drunk all the time. So, but now I started to feel that again. In fact, it was with one of the calls with, I can't remember her name, the lady who does the angel card readings. And I remember when I listened to that call, I was in tears. I was crying, crying, crying. And I felt like the angels were saying to me, we want you back, wake up and come back to us. And like, something happened that day. And slowly, I'm starting to get back, you know, those feelings. I mean, they're not there completely. I was supposed to start an angel card reading program, but unfortunately then my son got ill and was in the hospital, and so I haven't started it yet, but it's still there. It's like just waiting for me to register and do it. So I'm really, really excited about it because I feel that back. You know, I'm feeling that I'm getting this back, which was very important to me because it was very comforting.
A big part of who you were.
Yeah, it was very comforting. It really was who I was from, oh my gosh, from when I was a child, I think.
Oh, I love that. So those are huge. Those are huge. You know, getting back into dancing and reconnecting on a spiritual level with yourself. Those are huge transformations, I'm sure. Would you ever thought those were possible prior to starting the program, and or even something that would come up as a result of taking the alcohol out of your diet?
Nope. I just thought that I had a gift that I lost. And but I realized that that's not at all what it is. So I never thought, like, I just didn't think that would happen, but I'm so glad that it did, and that it is happening. And it, you know, it happens with my younger son as well. He's very much that kind of person as well. So it's kind of nice to have conversations with him about angels.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it.
So on the bigger picture of who Jane is today, what sort of impacts do you think this program has had on your life?
Oh my God, like the most positive impact for sure, without a doubt, without a doubt. I found myself. You know, I had lost myself and I found myself with this program. And it's the best thing in the world. It really is.
And how has
I
it
feel so good. I'm sorry?
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How has it affected your personal relationships or your working relationships?
It's helped tremendously. I mean, here at home now with my husband, things are much better. So that's good. I've learned a lot, even as I was always that person who wanted to please everybody but minus myself. So I've sort of retrained everyone here at home to help me out, and as a result, we have a much better relationship here at home. It's a lot less stressful. Work is always good though. I've never really had an issue at work. I tend to, one of the things I realize is how much I feel people, and a couple of coworkers are so, in my opinion, super toxic that they make me feel ill. I feel ill. I feel uncomfortable. So I stay away from that type of environment, and I'm lucky that at my work I'm able to. And I'm not rude to anyone. If anyone talks to me, I'm not rude or anything. But but in general at work, I've always had good relationships with people.
And your performance at work, how is that?
Oh my gosh, my performance at work, it's I'm more alert, right? So I'm capable of, I'm more alert. So I'm better at what I'm doing. I'm more energetic. So work is not, sometimes I'd go in there dragging my feet and sighing all the time because I'm so tired. But it's helped me a lot. I'm a lot more alert. I'm a lot more focused. So it's been a good thing.
I love it. I love that. It sounds amazing that you've had such a lovely experience, and I'm so grateful again to have been a part of that with you. So tell me, Jane, Jane, what are your plans for the future? What's next for you?
Well, definitely I'm going to take that course, my angel card reading course. And I want to explore that a little bit more. I've always been fascinated by that kind of thing. And like I said, I've always had that sort of in touch. That's kind of my main focus right now, actually. That's the main thing that I want to do. That's the main thing that I want to progress in. Of course, I want to continue to do my exercise and be as healthy as I possibly could in order to stay where I am. And you never know, one of these days I may like to encourage women, as you do, to a better path in their lives.
That's amazing. Absolutely. That's the biggest gift of having a life transformation occur for us, right? We do want to share it with others and let the world know how much wonderful they can feel. So that kind of leads into my next question for you, Jade. What would you say to someone who's thinking about joining the program?
Oh my God, I would almost feel like I should have recorded my life in the last few months, and this is who I was and this is who I am. Do you see the difference? Because sometimes that's all it takes. Look at who I was then and how I felt miserable and guilty, and I was heavy in the sense that I was just like blah. I would totally encourage anybody to do this. You learn so much. You become you're lighter in every which way. of course, if you lose weight on top of it, become lighter that way, it's even better because alcohol does make you gain. But a lighter person, a happier person, proud, you know, proud that you've come a long way. And that in itself, I find, gives you energy. Just feeling that pride that, wow, I did this. I was capable of doing this, and I did it. I did it.
I love that. I love that. And would you say the financial investment was worth it for you?
Well worth it, yeah. When you stop to think about it, I mean, you know, usually people who are drinking heavily are spending so much money on alcohol. So like if you do the math, you're spending a lot more money on alcohol than you would on a program that's for your health. One way to spend money is just destroying you in every way. And the other way, you're spending some money for a limited time and you have so many benefits from it. So.
And the value was worth it?
100%. There's so much, oh my God, so much, the content of the program itself and the, you know, binders, I have binders of stuff and information, resources, it's all amazing.
Fantastic. I'm glad that you can look back and say that it was definitely, I was worth the investment on so many levels, emotionally, spiritually, financially. I'm so grateful that that was your experience, Jane. Anything else that you want to share? I know, you know, I know that it's been an amazing transformation for you, and that, you know, you are just only looking forward and never looking back again. But is there anything else that you would say to someone, or that you just want to share?
I think that what I would say is get to know yourself. Like, it's so important, and love yourself, because you forget to do that. You forget to love yourself. You forget to take care of yourself. You forget to pamper yourself. When you're drinking, you're like in this black hole that just doesn't seem to ever end. And you're just going down that hole and you don't see anything. You don't see the capacity that you would have to actually be happy and to be healthy and to like yourself and love yourself. So yeah, that's my kind of, it feels good to feel good about yourself.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you've had that experience, and I'm looking forward to continuing our relationship together, and watching how the next phase of your transformation unfolds for you. It's very, very exciting. So I want to thank you, Jane, again, for your time with me here today. And I'm so grateful to have able to walk this journey with you.
Well, I'm grateful that that you popped out in my, you know, in my field of vision when you did.
Fantastic. All right, let's leave it there. If you, you know, if you're curious about the program at all, ladies, please do reach out to me. There's multiple ways that we can connect, and we can do just as we have done here with Jane. We'll have a conversation.